Once upon a time, in a cozy little cottage on the edge of a great green forest, lived a woodcutter with his two children, Hansel and Gretel. Life was simple, but they had each other, and that was what mattered most. Gretel, the younger of the two, often looked at the tall, dark trees with wide, worried eyes. "Hansel," she would whisper, "the forest looks so big and scary. I'm afraid to go too far in." Hansel, always the protective older brother, would puff out his chest and say, "Don't you worry, Gretel. As long as we're together, we can be brave. Nothing bad will happen to us." But one day, something did happen. Their father, with a heavy heart, had to lead them deep into the woods, farther than they had ever gone before. As they walked, the trees grew thicker, and the sunlight struggled to reach the forest floor. When their father left them to gather wood, the silence of the forest felt heavy. Gretel began to cry, but Hansel, ever the quick thinker, smiled. "Don't worry," he said confidently. "I was dropping little breadcrumbs all along our path. We just need to follow them back home." They waited for the moon to rise. Its silvery light meant to illuminate their path of crumbs, but when they looked, the path was gone. Tiny birds had fluttered down from the trees and eaten every last one. They were truly lost. All night they walked, their little feet sore and their stomachs rumbling with hunger. They walked the next day too, with no sign of home. Just as despair began to set in, they stumbled into a clearing. And there, standing before them, was the most wonderful house they had ever seen. It wasn't made of wood or stone. It was made of gingerbread, with a roof of cakes and windows of sparkling clear sugar. Gretel's eyes lit up. "Hansel, look, a house made of sweets." Forgetting their troubles for a moment, they ran to the house and began to nibble. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and a very old woman with a sweet, grandmotherly voice hobbled out. "Well, now, what have we here? Don't stand out there nibbling, my dear children. Come inside, come inside. There are plenty more treats for you." Relieved and hungry, Hansel and Gretel followed her into the cozy little house. But the kind old woman was not what she seemed. She was a wicked witch, and her sweetness was a trap. Before they knew what was happening, she grabbed Hansel and locked him in a small cage. "You're a bit scrawny," she cackled, her voice suddenly sharp and cruel. "You'll stay in here and eat until you're plump and juicy. I like my meals nice and fat." Every day she would bring Hansel delicious food, but she had poor eyesight. So when she asked to feel his finger to see if he was getting fatter, clever Hansel would hold out a small chicken bone he had found. "See," he'd say, "I'm still as thin as a stick." The witch would grumble in frustration. While Hansel was in the cage, poor Gretel was forced to work from sunrise to sunset, scrubbing floors and fetching water. The witch was always cross and demanding. One day her patience ran out. "Enough of this," she shrieked. "Fat or thin, I'll cook him today. Girl, get the oven ready. Make it hot." She shoved Gretel toward the huge brick oven. "Check if the fire is hot enough," she commanded. But Gretel, thinking fast, pretended to be helpless. "I'm sorry," she said in a small voice. "I don't know how. Could you show me?" The witch grumbled, "Useless child," and stomped over to the oven. She opened the heavy iron door and leaned far inside to check the flames. "See, you just have to look in like this." That was the moment Gretel had been waiting for. With all her might, she gave the witch a great big push from behind. "Now," she cried. She slammed the oven door shut and bolted it tight. The wicked witch was gone for good. Gretel rushed to the cage and freed her brother. "Gretel, you saved us. You were so brave," Hansel exclaimed, hugging her tightly. They were free. As they looked around the witch's house, they discovered chests filled with sparkling pearls and precious jewels. They filled their pockets until they could hold no more. This time, finding their way out of the forest was much easier. It was as if the trees themselves were showing them the way home. Soon they saw their little cottage through the trees. Their father was outside, his face etched with worry. When he saw them running towards him, his eyes filled with tears of joy. My children, you're safe." He hugged them so tightly, promising never to let them go again. With the witch's treasure, their worries were over, and Hansel and Gretel, the brave brother and the clever sister, lived happily ever after with their father. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.